You see this image? Arrows blotting out the sky, knights falling like dominoes, mud and blood everywhere. This wasn't just a battle, it was a revolution. This is the story of how a piece of wood and a string, in the hands of a common man, shattered the very foundation of medieval warfare. For centuries, the battlefield was dominated by the elite, the armored knight. Encased in steel, riding a powerful warhorse, they were the medieval equivalent of a tank. Unstoppable, invincible, a symbol of power and nobility. To face a charging knight was to face certain death. So, how did a simple farmer or craftsman, armed with nothing more than a yew longbow, turn the tables on these steel-clad giants? It all comes down to one word: Agincourt. The year is 1415. A small, exhausted, and sick English army, led by King Henry V, finds itself cornered in northern France. They are vastly outnumbered by a fresh, confident French force, composed of the cream of French nobility. The French looked across the muddy field and saw a guaranteed victory. They saw peasants, not soldiers. What they failed to see was the weapon that would seal their doom: the English longbow. This wasn't just any bow. This was a 6-foot-tall war machine, capable of firing 10 to 12 arrows a minute, with a range of over 250 yards. An arrow from a war bow could punch through mail and even weaker points in plate armor. Now, imagine not one, but 6,000 of these bows, loosing arrows in a coordinated, terrifying volley. The ground at Agincourt was a muddy quagmire, churned up by days of heavy rain. This was a disaster for the French knights. Weighed down by 50 to 100 pounds of armor, they trudged through the thick mud, their advance slowing to a crawl. They became slow-moving targets, packed together, a perfect killing ground for the English archers. And then, the sky went dark. Not from the storm clouds, but from a storm of steel. It was called the arrow storm, a hail of bodkin-pointed arrows that rained down with relentless fury. The sound alone would have been terrifying, a monstrous hiss, followed by the thud and clank of arrows hitting armor, the screams of men, and the terrified whinnying of horses. The first volley was devastating. Horses, less protected than their riders, were driven mad with pain, throwing their riders and trampling those on foot, turning the French charge into a chaotic, tangled mess. Knights who fell into the deep mud struggled to get up, suffocating under their own weight or being crushed by their comrades. Those who did manage to reach the English lines were exhausted, disorganized, and met by fresh men-at-arms ready for a brutal fight. The knights, the supposed masters of the battlefield, were slaughtered. The French nobility was decimated in a single afternoon, not by other knights, but by common archers. The psychological impact was immense. The myth of the invincible knight was shattered. It proved that a well-trained, disciplined force of common soldiers could defeat a socially superior but tactically inept army. Agincourt wasn't a one-off event. It was the culmination of a tactical evolution that had been developing for decades at battles like Crecy and Poitiers. The longbow changed the social and military landscape of Europe. It empowered the common man, giving him the ability to strike down a lord from a distance. It shifted the focus from individual prowess to disciplined, massed firepower. This weapon, a simple piece of wood, challenged the entire feudal system. The age of the knight was coming to an end, and the age of the professional soldier, the infantryman, was dawning. The arrows that flew at Agincourt didn't just kill knights, they killed an idea. They signaled a new era in warfare, where technology, training, and tactics would ultimately triumph over birthright and brute force. This battle wasn't just a slaughter, it was the brutal birth of modern warfare. Thanks for watching. If you were fascinated by how a simple weapon could change the course of history, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the epic battles that shaped our world. Let us know in the comments which historical turning point you'd like to see next. See you in the next one.
If this video moved you, like it and follow the channel.